Nice jab to the body by Max. Yep. Another hard low kick. Now it's forced him to change stances. That left leg is destroyed.
Finally, in minute 25, Holloway shows some mortality.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here.
Oh, big connection late.
Absolute stunner at UFC 300.
Oh my 1 second to go.
Well, I tell you what, Dana White couldn't have asked for a better highlight, a better situation than what happened right there with UFC 300. Hello, everybody. I'm Drew Duncan. The show's fired up, and we are live. I am brought to you in part by WBFR Block 50 Radio, which is online 24/7, 365 at block50radio.com. I am wherever you are listening to podcasts. Take a device to play Fired Up by Drew Duncan, iTunes, iHeart. Wherever you're listening, I am there. Plenty to get to today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about UFC 300. Plenty to get to with that. We're going to be talking about Brandon Ayuk. He's already, well, his agent anyways, has shut down rumors of Brandon Ayuk requesting a trade. We're going to be talking about Allen Iverson getting his due with the Philadelphia 76ers. Plenty to get to today. In the meantime, Dana White. I mean, you want to talk about an absolute, number one, it's every fighter's dream. You want to talk about a Rocky Balboa moment, right? A movie moment just happened in real life. All right? So let's get that out of the way. Last second, last round, BMF belt, which, by the way, people like myself have called it nothing but a gimmick belt, because you sit there with the BMF belt, and what are you supposed to do with it? Because technically every fighter in the UFC is a BMF. Can't have a gatekeeper belt, right? But now it probably legitimizes the BMF belt. Because with that, there's somebody out there right now that is watching this go down, and they're thinking to themselves, man, I'd love to have that BMF belt one day. I want to defend that joint. There's somebody out there watching this right now that is thinking to themselves, holy I missed that. And Dana White said after the fights, that's what he does. He creates holy moments. And that was the biggest holy moment you could possibly ever dream of. Because for anybody who said that this fight card was weak, including myself, for anybody who said it didn't really look like a really great fight card for 300 after he promised it would be epic, what happened before and whatever happened afterwards, that fight alone right there is going to make people go, hey, I missed out, man. I missed out on that fight. Yeah, I got to see the last 15 seconds. What about the other 4 rounds? What the hell was going on? I would be willing to bet that UFC 300 pay-per-view buys are going to skyrocket. That right, and you all know, real UFC fans know, they never put out stuff like this. I mean, if they do, it's like a few days after the fact. They've already hit their numbers, etc. Usually it's so-and-so won. What a knockout, you know. You hear it in the background, but then, you know, you show them with the hand raise. You don't actually get to see what happened. They had to show that. They couldn't have asked for better promotion of the brand than that moment right there. And that was Max Holloway, by the way, being Max Holloway. For the folks that are fairly new here, go look that up. Man, I tell you what, Dana White just hit a gold mine with that. See, now some kid out there somewhere's going, maybe I want to be a UFC fighter one day. I mean, this is how those things happen. Look at the Frank O'Hara play in the 70s with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some kid out there was watching, man, I'd love to play football one day. I want to make a moment like that happen. John Elway with the drive. Some kid out there was watching him play quarterback go, I think I want to make that happen. I can do that. This is how this works. And with the ever-increasing popularity of combat sports, the decreased popularity in the NBA right now, somewhat in the NFL, which is still somehow generating record numbers and revenue, but it is what it is. This is how that kind of stuff happens. Heroes are created exactly like this. In one day, 15 years from now, some 25-year-old is going to get on there. He's going to go, the first time I saw Max Holloway lay out Justin Gaethje, that was it for me. That was literally it for me. I knew then what I wanted to do with my life. That moment's going to live in infamy. It's literally going nowhere. It legitimized the card. Now, Dana White said it kind of sucked the oxygen out of the room, right? Because, the next couple of fights, you could talk about whether or not they were good or bad or whatever. But how do you top that moment? And see, now here's the pressure of this. Because like I said, this is really great publicity for the UFC. Simultaneously, there's the antithesis here, and that is it could blow up in your face because now everything has to live up to that, and not everything can. And so kind of, I don't want to say casual, but just every now and again, MMA fans are going to go, damn. And then they're going to be watching other fight cards and they're going to go, eh. So they just kind of had that one thing. Regardless, hell of a fight. By the way, Pereira ended up beating Hill, and I said that he would. I was asked about it by former Bellator fighter Emmanuel Rivera, and I just said, look, Pereira wins fights that he really shouldn't win. On paper, it really didn't look like Hill should lose. But I just feel like Pereira is one of those people that he wins fights that he shouldn't, and he loses fights that he should win. It wasn't about the experience necessarily in MMA or anything technical. I just feel like for whatever reason, he's more prepared in these situations than the guy he's going against. Preparation in MMA is still a thing, guys. There's a lot of film study that goes into it. You think dudes are out there just swinging and shooting from the hip. They're not. I know it looks like that sometimes, but they're not. I'm not really sure how I feel about the fight card overall. It certainly gets legitimized, though, by that moment. I mean, but was it worth the pay-per-view buy for that moment? That's what you got to ask yourself. And look, here's the thing, all right? I've talked to I don't know how many matchmakers over the course of my career. And there's literally nothing easy about it. You get people that back out at the last minute for whatever the hell reason. You get people that they don't want to make weight. They don't take their training camp seriously. If they get injured during training camp, things happen. It is legitimately not easy doing what Dana White does. If anybody thinks that it is, you are sadly mistaken. And I would encourage you to follow him around for a couple of weeks. Because great, yeah, sure, everybody's good. Everybody's high on the hog. Saturday night, everything is beautiful. Maybe Sunday he takes a moment to rest. Monday, it's right back to it. He's already got other cards that he's planning. He's got to keep this together. He's got fighters that have got to take their drug tests. He's got fighters that, are still not making weight. He's got fighters that are in contact with him over other contracts for this event or that event. He's got 1,000,001 things going on. He's got all the publicity he's got to do. And by the way, but anybody that listened to my show last week, no, this did not legitimize Stephen A. as an MMA guru. Let's please not go there. All right, especially predicated upon that one fight. Honestly, Buddy needs to kind of stay the hell out of it, if I'm being honest with you. Dana White had the all-time moment. And look, if anybody really watches MMA, you sort of expected something similar from Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. If anybody knows MMA at all, you expected it from him. Especially Max Holloway. That's his thing. Come on, Brody, right here. I'm right here. Gaethje isn't going to back down. Are you serious? I still am not a fan of the BMF belt. I still think it's basically a retirement belt, is what I think it is. An old war dog belt, whatever you want to call it. It's still really gimmicky to me. I think, though, a lot of people are going to view it differently now, at least probably from a fan's perspective. I think they're going to look at me now. It's not that I didn't enjoy the fight. Look, here's the thing. You could have put those two together and not have that BMF belt on the line, and you probably still would have got the same result that you did. There's just way too much pride with those two fighters. That's all there is to that. Man alive, though, what a shot. I mean, that thing, it was badass, don't get me wrong, but it was also scary. There was everything scary about that connect at the end of the fight. My goodness. 1 second left, man. Whenever you hear announcers say, all he's got to do is survive the round, you think it's easy now? Because, damn. There was nothing easy about that.
You cannot accomplish the things that I've accomplished in my career, in my life in general. You can't do it by yourself. You know what I mean? So many people that helped me get to where I'm at in life. So many people that was played an intricate part in who I am, my development, and my maturation as a man. To you, Sonny, my family, my kids, you know, Coach Bailey, Coach Thompson, may he rest in peace, and Larry Brown meant so much to me in my development as a basketball player. I always felt that I was a good player, and I always felt like, you know, me and Coach didn't see eye to eye on things, but he wanted the same thing that I wanted out of my career and our team goals. And once I bought into that, that's what turned me into an NBA MVP basketball player. That's what turned us to a team that were winners, that could go to the finals and compete with the best teams. Just so many people that helped me. And, you know, when you think about the statue outside, you know, that's a representation to y'all people that helped me, to everyone that played a part in my development in my life. You know what I mean? When y'all see that statue, y'all can feel good about the part that y'all did in helping me in my life. And I truly appreciate it.
Allen Iverson, a real one, Brody. Allen Iverson, a real one. And look, whether anybody realizes or not, the thing I get tired of is, look, here's what I get tired of. And this happens about every 10 or 15 years after somebody's career. Some guy comes in eventually with his weird-ass analytics and starts discussing how overrated a player was from back then and starts saying that they were never really that good. Adam Schefter did it when he talked about John Elway. He's another one of these overrated players from this time frame. It gets so old. Right? You got Colin Cowherd doing it with Magic Johnson. You got Windhorst doing it with Allen Iverson. Just every now and again, somebody comes in and decides that they're going to be slick. They're going to say all this nonsense. And that's exactly what it is, a bunch of BS. It's all that it is. Suddenly somebody who was so great was so overrated. Explain to me how Magic Johnson was overrated, Colin. Well, his skill set's really not that important today. Okay, you understand that without him, European ball doesn't happen the way that it does because they mimicked their entire game after him, and they allowed rules that made playing like him a little easier because nobody can play like him with NBA rules because he's that unique. Get real. Allen Iverson with his shot records. Look, man, somebody needs to tell these people sometimes it's just good to not say anything. You mean to tell me that you really think that Lamar Odom and Eric Snow and all of them were really that great of a basketball team? And look, I know it's probably really hard for these guys to get on social media and see people like me in the comment section going, nah, bro, AI carried that basketball team. It's a one-man show. And it's crazy to me because we all think it's funny and go, yeah, well, I guess we get it when Kobe says, man, I didn't trust my guys enough. You don't think there wasn't a part of that to AI? Look, I fell into the AI trap when I was younger. That he just needs to shut up and play basketball, that, you know, he's overrated, he's overhyped, he's not that good, he's not a good team player. I fell into that trap until I saw the NBA Finals. And I saw them get a hold of Kobe and them in that first game, and I was like, I don't think they win that game without him. I think if he's not there, they're not even there. And then the rest of the series happened, and it made it abundantly clear that he was a man on an island all on his own. All on his own. Now, I personally don't agree with anybody getting statues. That's my personal belief, okay? But I do believe that that AI getting his due is long past. Long past. Nobody's done more for that basketball team other than maybe Dr. J. You know, I mean, you could talk about Dr. J. I know somebody's going to go, come on, man. You ever heard of Joel Embiid? Look, man, Joel hasn't even sniffed a championship. Hasn't even sniffed it. And he's had some guys around him. Seriously. He's had some guys around him and he can't get it done because he can't stay healthy. In AI's prime, there was maybe one or two people that could have messed with him. I mean, seriously. Everybody knew he was good. And let's not forget that if AI really wanted to, he probably could have been a quarterback. Y'all ever seen that dude play football? And by the way, can we please, for the love, stop bringing up his past? Yes, we get it. Okay, he got clemency. Leave it alone. He, with a second chance at life, whether you agree with it or not, took it and ran with it. And he did amazing things in the NBA. And he changed the way that the culture could be perceived. And he didn't give a damn about David Stern and his opinion of it. Because it was the culture that was making the NBA money. And he didn't give a damn about what your perception of the culture is supposed to be. What the culture really is and was at that time was Mike Vick and Allen Iverson. And Kobe. That's just keeping it a buck. That was the culture. To a lot of people. Not to everybody, but to a lot of people. What Iverson represented was something much bigger. What Mike Vick ended up representing was something much bigger. Everybody who's ever been in the system, who's ever wanted a second chance at life, that believed that they could never do it. Now, I know that somebody's going to go, man, I ain't an athlete, I ain't this, I ain't that. Brody, grab a mic. $25 on Amazon, homie. You ain't even need that half the time, man. These people are out here on TikTok and everything and YouTube making money, not even using a microphone, just the phone they got in their face. Everybody got something they could do, man. You just got to put your mind to it. They gave themselves a second chance with their talent. And to AI's point, there are other people that helped him out. Right? Tony Dungy helping out Mike Vick. Andy Reid helping out Mike Vick. So the reality is they stand for something bigger. The representation of the culture, the representation of second chances, the representation of you can be a part of the culture and still be successful. There's that misconception. You know how that go. Man, hey, look at how they dress. So look at how they do their job. That's the only thing that's ever really mattered. The braids, the cornrows, all that stuff, man, that people were being told in schools were a distraction. And if you know, you know. Sure, now it's accepted mostly. Back then it wasn't. Why you want to look like that? Because it's my culture, bro. That's why. What? I don't know, man. Why you want to wear them duck shoes? Is that your culture? That's all I'm saying, man. Brandon Ayuk. There are trade rumors circulating. Trade rumors that are being stated as Brandon Ayuk has requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. Now, his agent has already gone on Twitter and said, look, man, you need better resources. So whether or not it's real, who the hell really knows at this juncture, right? What we do know is this. Brandon Ayuk is locked in a battle right now where he is seeking a long-term deal worth a lot of money. Now, it's going to be really hard because in case you don't know, the 49ers pretty much have the most highest paid players at their position in the NFL right now, right? That's offense and defense. You got C-Mac over there. Yeah, a lot of people think that Brock Purdy is going to be due for a really good contract. You got Debo, okay? You got that offensive line. Now you got Brandon Ayuk, who's been showing out. Look, here's the way, obviously, that football, basketball, etc., separates itself from, tennis for the most part, MMA, combat sports, whatever you want to call it, is when somebody's on a team, you always have to ask yourself, do they make the team around them better? Could they go somewhere else and make the team around them better? How many times have we said a quarterback doesn't have any help? Now, with the 49ers, that hasn't been the case. And I maintain, and I will not change this, that Brock Purdy is just in a really great situation. I'm not going to reiterate it. I'm not going to go over all the facts and everything else that I've spewed out on this program I don't know how many times over the last year and a half or so. We're not doing that right now. I've got plenty of episodes where I talk about this. I've got plenty of shorts on Instagram and TikTok and everything else that you can go and find where I break down all the numbers and stats and figures and everything else about how Brock Purdy is right place, right time. Not going to get into it. What I'm telling you is there's also that belief that's out there. And if Brandon Ayuk is no longer with the team, do you think they are as good? Now, here's the thing about Brandon Ayuk. Okay, and this is really the thing about NFL players, and this is where I side with NFL players. The longevity of the average NFL player is still less than a nickel, man. It's still less than a nickel. 5 years, under 5 years is the average career span in the NFL. You got to get it while the getting is good. And I don't blame anybody that holds out for contracts. I don't blame any. It's always risk reward. I'm not saying I always agree with the person who does it because it could be one of those things where it's like, bro, it's you, man. Like, really? If that's what you think, then go ahead and go do it. But this is risk reward. Let's keep it a buck. So with Brandon Ayuk, he believes that he is worth everything. And he wants the team to verify that they really believe that he's worth everything that they're paying him and then some, obviously, because he's saying, look, I want to be here. I want to be a 49er. I want X amount of years with X amount of dollars. Let's make this thing happen. And if you're a 49er fan, do you really want to break up that football team at all? I mean, really sit back and think about this. Do you really want to break up that football team? Do you think without Brandon Ayuk that they're just as good? Obviously, Christian McCaffrey took a lot of pressure off of everybody. Took pressure off the quarterbacks, took pressure off of Debo Samuel, took pressure off the offensive line, took pressure off of the play calling, right? Having him there did a lot of things. But now you got Brandon Ayuk with Debo, with Terry. I'm telling you what, man, the reality is that team is perfect. They're damn near perfect. You have to decide, is this play calling? What happened? What went down in that Super Bowl? Why were we ahead again and we fumbled the bag? That's what that amounts to. I think without Brandon Ayuk, they're still a really damn good football team, but I think that with him, they're that much better. And the fact that these guys want guaranteed money, all these fans, they get such an uproar and call these guys $1 million crybabies and yada, yada, yada. They have to capitalize on it while they can. Go watch the 30 for 30 broke on ESPN. Within 3 years, the average professional athlete's career, once it is done, within 3 years, they are broke and divorced. They have nothing. And so when you get that money, you get your payday, it's really all about at that moment, hey, here's what I need to do. I need to capitalize. I need to get into really good business ventures. Simultaneously, I need to do whatever I can on social media because, let's be honest, if there's nothing interesting about you after the fact, then what happens to that social media following? It begins to dwindle. All of your interactions become less and less and less, and so there's no capitalizing and getting your duckies on social media, so you can't monetize anymore. So there's that. If there's nothing that is spectacularly amazing about you once you retire, social media is not a viable option. So it is up to the players to be responsible with the money once they get it. But this new generation of athlete, they have better agents. They have a better understanding of money. Hell, a good majority of them are starting to represent themselves with finagling these deals. Look at what's going on at the collegiate level right now. A lot of these kids do not have agents, and they are putting together really amazing deals. Deals that are literally worth millions of dollars. Now, it's not everybody, but it's a few folks. They are getting their due. They are better at handling money. They're taking classes now in money management, business management. There are coaches out there like Prime. There was, the Florida Gators. Tim Tebow talked about that, how to deal with life after sports, how to deal with money once you make it to the NFL. They do these things, and it's becoming more and more of a commonality, and it should have been a long time ago. It's a new breed, a new generation that has a better understanding of what they are worth financially. And when you are willy-nilly handing money over to people like Kirk Cousins, then, of course, everybody else is going to step up and go, well, I know I'm worth more than that. I've already been there, Brody. What the hell has Kirk Cousins ever done? Sure, he's putting up a lot of numbers, but almost everybody in the NFL is putting up a lot of numbers right now, especially when you take what's going on with hip drop tackles and all that stuff. We're talking about a play that happens 1.31% of the time, and the NFL wants to ban it. So with the offenses being favored right now in football, it makes what's going on just that much easier. Now, does this look good for Brandon Ayuk? Who the hell really knows? And here we go again, right? Well, he quit following the 49ers on their social media channel. You know what? Stop. Sometimes that means something, sometimes it doesn't. If it does mean anything, what it means is, look, I'm not doing this. I'm not helping you until you help me. Because the good majority of the reason why people are following you is because they got my back, Brody. So you're going to lose a couple 100,000 social media interaction because, well, if I'm not there, because let's keep it a buck anymore with the way that things are with, gambling and betting and all of that. A lot of people are a fan of players and not necessarily teams. And they're keeping track of the betting lines and all that stuff as opposed to really following a football team anymore. I can't tell you how many times as a sports journalist I've ran into people and they're like, I just really like watching so-and-so, kind of wherever he goes. It's a fairly common thing. I know that the fanatic out there doesn't believe that, but it is the way that it is. See, when you're in my line of work, you come across a lot of different types of people, and a lot of them are, I really just kind of never had a team. I just always have had some players that I really like watching. Brandon Ayuk is probably one of those guys. Debo's probably one of those guys. Christian McCaffrey's probably one of those guys. And even then, you take Panthers fan, and they realize the way that franchise was, and they go, man, you know what? He's not in Carolina anymore, but I love him for what he did. I respect him for what he did for us. He's a damn good player. He deserves everything he's getting. I hope he does good over there in Frisco. It happens. Now, Seattle Seahawks fan, a good majority of them haven't rooted for Russ. In fact, I spoke to one that said, man, I hope that dude trips, falls, and breaks his leg. Like, okay, isn't that cool thing? Your mama. Anyway. All right, everybody. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is Drew Duncan, Drew Duncan Radio. I'm out of here. Your local programming is next. Don't you dare touch that dial.